Greetings, dear woman. I'm welcoming you in this energy class, and it is very important for you to understand this topic for the reason that we really talk a lot about energy. We do energy work, and I feel that this word energy is so overused, especially in this market of like self-development and self-healing, that it seems to me we are losing the meaning of this word. And actually, did we ever look into the root? What is energy and where it's coming from? So this class is to give you a new perspective, or maybe to remind you of what is energy. So I invite you to look with me into the Taoist version of cosmology, or how the universe was created. This scheme resonates to other philosophical schools as well. For example, yoga, Kabbalah, science as well. So I picked this map because it really gives a good understanding, and eventually we will arrive into explanation of yin and yang, and I believe this is the best example to serve this purpose. So let's start from the very top. Tao cosmology says that in the beginning here we have Wu Ji field, or this is the unknowable. It is the level of supreme mystery. And the word mystery here is not something fancy like, oh, it's a mystical and secret. It only means that it's a mystery to our minds, that we have no idea what is there. It's totally unperceivable for our minds to understand what was in the beginning. This level also means this is a realm of chaos and unity, the primordial heaven. So the word chaos very often associates with something dark and negative, which is actually chaos in the universal and scientific perspective is the cosmic void from which everything was born. The chaos and the mystery say that in that state there was nothing defined, there was no energy whatsoever, even hints of humanity and planets and sun and moon, or whatever that you might think of this universe, in this realm it doesn't exist. So basically there is nothing here, and that's why it's called mystery. So that mystery existed for a certain period of time, which we also cannot estimate. There is no such concepts as time and space. For there is only infinite consciousness, which is mystical and totally chaotic. The following events that occurred after this unknowable state of supreme mystery is when the consciousness gathered itself into great oneness. So it somehow defined, collected itself in one point, somewhere in the space, unified itself. So that's why it's called great oneness. It's like gathering forces together before you start creating something. There was awareness that, okay, now we collected our resources and we can see what we have. So after this event, we have the first awareness of polarity. It's not polarity yet. It's not the division of black and white yet. It's only the first awareness. Or in other words, when you collect your forces together, your resources, you only start tracing or having an intuitive feeling that you have this and this. And then, as written here, the egg cracks open, creation begins. So this whole big realm here is called early heaven. And this is where, out of nothing unknowable, something is born. This first awareness, when it realized that there is a potential of polarity, it's one stage, and on the next, it's actually start separating things from one to another. So I'll give you example with books. Let's say you have 2,000 of books of various topics and you have never read them. And they are all in mess. They all have potential of giving you information. You can feel it's very valuable, but you cannot understand because they are scattered everywhere. You don't have the list of the books and you don't understand what they are about. So what you will do first? First, you will gather them all together. Once they're all together in front of your eyes, you can see that you can actually divide them into, for example, spiritual theme and, for example, physics. So when you segregated them and they are available to you, you're going to read each one, and then when the information will be unified in your mind, you will have an aha moment, an insight, where you will think that, hey, wait a minute, but this is all about one thing. So now as I have this knowledge, I can unify it and mix it so it can serve each other. The spiritual joins the physics. This is how the great consciousness became aware of what it has, separated this into two polarities, and then unified them together. So what is the difference between here and here? This segregation means you have black and white, and they don't interact. Here they are mixed and they are interacting. They are aware of each other traits. So they are, in other words, it's like having sex, which is actually, this is exactly that universal act of birth. Egg cracks open, creation begins. So we can say the cosmic sperm met the cosmic womb and it gave birth. From there, the division of cells, of universal cells, continued. The great yang expands, the great yin nurtures, and the great pole of stability is created. So 5 elements. And together their quality joins and gives birth to the physical world. The animal, the humans, and this is called later heaven. So this is the scheme of how the universal consciousness manifested itself and started dividing, giving birth to the final, which is the purpose of creation, the humans. Doesn't it remind you, and actually I already referred to how the embryo was developed from that one drop of blood and sperm and started growing and dividing, and then it was born out after 9 months. So why I love this scheme? Because this scheme tells us about everything that is happening every second on planet. You can relate the scheme to how your relations are being developed, to how your work is being developed, to how the human embryo is developed. You can apply it even to thoughts and feelings. So now let's look closer to this symbol of yin and yang, which is called in Chinese Taijitu. Today we see the symbol everywhere. It's becoming a trend to speak about balance between yin and yang, the equilibrium between forces, and how each one person contains yin and yang. So there is a very common belief that every human being is this one whole. But what I learned from life is that things are not what they seem to be. So you are not an equal combination of yin and yang. Every human being has dominant and passive part, and it depends on our gender. What I mean by this is that if you look at the simple, the dark side is called the true yin, and it is substituted from the dominant blackness and the secondary whiteness. It means that every feminine aspect is built out of dominant yin and secondary yang, where if we look at the true yang or the true masculine, it is substituted from dominant yang and passive yin. So in other words, you and I, as women in this physiological body, we have our masculinity, but it is in minor by nature. And our main foundation is feminine. It's very important to understand because it's so common to say that we, men and women, are the same. No, we are not the same. We don't function the same. We don't think the same. We don't live on biological chemical level the same way. And when we understand this difference, it makes the life so much easier. Now let's look at the qualities of both yin and yang, and it will give you even more clarity. Yin, the dark, is something that is cold, it's passive, it is deep, hidden, weak, dark, soft, and it is related to pausing and stillness. Where yang is opposition, so it's something that is hot, very active, it's superficial on external level, so that's why it's obvious, it is strong, it is something light and bright, it's hard, and it symbolizes movement. And it means that I can tell you that you are, as a woman, first of all, you are cold, you are passive, deep, hidden, you are weak, you are dark, soft, and stillness is your nature. But how does it feel to hear something like that? It doesn't feel very positive, right? Because for so many decades, women were accused or people would laugh about their weakness. It triggers women to go and perform on the other side, on the yang. So they are becoming very active, very obvious. They want to be seen, they want to be heard, and they are moving a lot. Due to social pressure and to social beliefs, women is forced to leave her natural state, which depletes her on so many levels. So how is it possible to be aligned with your nature, with your yin, the dominant nature, and still be active, move, be strong and obvious and successful? Because yes, you can be active, but if you are using only this resource of your nature, you're going to burn out very soon. The key is to develop the soil, which is yin, this is your ground, and then to plant a seed of yang in there, which is like a little seed that will grow into a flower. So in comparison, the ground, the soil is massive and it contains the seed. And the seed and the flower are minor, they are small, but they are completely protected. So I would say we need to grow our yin and really protect and nurture our yang. Now let's go out and look around. What's happening outside? We all know about this concept of Mother Earth and Father Sky. So actually these two qualities are teaching us exactly what is needed to be done. Let's look at Earth. The quality of Earth is magnetism, the gravity. pulling things together and taking them inwards into a hidden, deep, dark place. Earth is holding things together and collecting. It has a very special kind of movement, like remember yin is stillness or pausing. So the way Earth circulates and moves in spirals and circles, it's a very, very yinish way of moving. Where if we look at the father sky or the yang quality, it's the direction, like the wind flowing here and flying there. It's constant movement and achieving destination. So let's say wind is blowing from here to the west and it has its own destination. It is distributing things, so bringing different forces from point A to B, C, D, and E. Where Earth moves in circles and spirals, the yang, the heaven, is moving in linear direction. And dear sister, I want to tell you that Mother Earth is showing us how to embrace our true yin nature. The way Earth rotates and spins, now as you are listening to this class, you cannot even sense her movement. This rotation nurtures every living being on Earth. The way she moves is so subtle, yet so impactful, like our lives depend on it. How a woman can become like Earth. How can you be so impactful, yet so gentle and delicate? And I want to refer here to the most incredible source of wisdom that was written in 4th century by Chinese philosopher, the Taoist magician Lao Tzu, and the book is called Tao Te Ching, or the Book of the Way and its Virtue. The chapter 37 says, "The nature never acts, yet nothing is left undone." How is this amazing? The true change happens when you are not acting externally, when you are in your full resonance with yin nature, without your interference, without your efforts. Everything is achieved effortlessly. And this, I believe, is the true secret of being a woman. And together we will reveal these secrets one by one. So let's continue our journey by checking how the yang energy moves, because it's also part of you but a minor. So the yang energy moves in centrifugal direction. It means that an object or an energy moves spiraling out from the center outwards, from inner to the outer world, like this. So the beams were jumping out from the spiraling center in a linear way in all directions. In this case, the masculine takes the information, or in other words, is being nourished at the center, and then takes this information outside to grow it, to invest it, to multiply it. So this is the purpose of masculine in the world, to receive information or energy and then improve it and grow it. Because masculine is going out and creating something out there, there is a risk that a masculine is susceptible to external influence. For example, if we talk about men in general, we know that men like to gather, for example, for watching football, drinking beer. They are going outside at least once a week to catch up with their friends. And even if this gathering doesn't make any sense or value, it is very important for men to leave the house and go out. For this reason, throughout history, it's mainly men who are always seeking something outside there, like, for example, discovering new lands, conquering new business, expanding territory, discovering mountain peaks, or even further, which is funny enough, more men who are always desiring to go out into the space and discover a new planet. In a way, this is so great because um, this is the food for evolution. Men are supposed to open the territory of science and build new civilization and improve this world. This is all true. But there is one disadvantage that men are having due to their dominant yang energy. The yang energy doesn't have innate ability to release negative influence. Maybe you came across with a situation when your father, your brother, maybe your partner sometimes gets influenced by someone else's ideas or habits. And the most amazing thing that they don't even feel that. But then they come home and wife or girlfriend usually feels like, this is weird. Like, where did you get it from? I can feel something is wrong. Like, this friend of yours is really giving you a bad influence. So men are very susceptible, but they don't have this ability to realize the influence, to admit it, and then to release it. Of course, this is a general trait of yang. It doesn't mean that all men are the same because there are really sensitive men who can release the energy. But you will see now the difference with women's yin energy. We're getting closer to my favorite part. So, the yin energy moves in centripetal motion. It means that it spins towards the center. So, the yin energy is also susceptible to external influence, and even more, I will explain why. But it has the innate ability to release negative influence or to release any kind of influence. And this is the beauty and the strength of feminine aspect. So this is how this movement would look like, the centripetal force. From outside, it's spiraling all the way towards the center. And then eventually it hits the center and is being sucked in. I just have goosebumps when I'm watching this. I love it. So listen very carefully to this. On energy level, it means that woman, due to her magnetism and internal gravity, attracts everything from outside to inside. And this is how women learn. They go out, observe, listen, then come home and implement their knowledge. And by the way, each woman will do it in her own way. So because this is the way of her learning, she is super sensitive to external vibes. And most of the time, especially for modern women, this power of being sensitive to external plays a very negative game with women, which is actually against the nature of this power. because it was given to us women for a different purpose. So I will give you an example. Yesterday I met a lady, she is very young, who shared in a circle that she is very social anxious, like she doesn't feel safe among strangers, among big groups, and it's hard for her to connect, and she just feels really sensitive and vulnerable. That's why it makes her retreat and like hide in her cocoon. So it's very often that women mistake that they are introverts, or there is something wrong in them, or they are too sensitive and it's really bad. They don't understand the nature of the sensitivity and judge it as a curse, while actually there is a way how they can understand and turn it into a very powerful resource. So here we have men whose yang is dominant and it's their nature to go out, at the same time being very susceptible to the negative or positive influence, and without having any abilities to fully restore as women can. And here we have women who are susceptible as well. They are going from outside to the inner, and they have this ability to release the negative energy, to release the negative influence. And now if you will combine yin and yang inside of you, you understand that your dominant is very sensitive. It is going inwards and attracting things, and your passive or secondary ability is to go out, do actions, and achieve certain destinations. So how do we women release the influence? I mean, the nature is so intelligent, is so perfect. Of course, it considered this very important detail. If woman is attractor and collector, if we wouldn't be given this ability to release, can you imagine what can happen to us women? We wouldn't be able to live even a day. Though I can tell you that today many women lost this ability to understand which energy she needs to store inside and live with herself, and which energy is to be released. Remember the centripetal movement. You will see how the coin at the end is being sucked in and then it just falls out. This is exactly the same way how it works inside of our feminine bodies. We are connected to the earth, as you remember. The earth has a gravitational force. We have gravitational force. When anything is coming up into our bodies, into our emotional and mental bodies, we are able to pass it through and release it. And uterus plays a crucial role in this process. Are you getting there really in love with yourself? With all this information, you're just gonna understand like how much power you have and how blessed you are to be a woman. So let us go further. It's even getting more interesting. Now look at this image, and first I want you to pay your attention to woman's body. So woman's pelvis, her genitals, are in quality of yin. It means, for example, the uterus is hidden inside. It's not obvious. It's very internal process that we're going through every month. And actually, it's kind of a secret place. So inwards, while our breast is outwards and it's more yang quality. It's obvious, it's seen, and this is how we also women tend to be more active. So on the center of chest or the heart center, we are givers, we are nourishers, we are emotional, and in many ways we are more active in our heart center. While if you look at the man, it's vice versa. So man's body his genitals are external and they are very active, I would say, right? Like if man has erection, you will definitely notice that. So that's why this is a driving force for a man. And in his chest, he is more yin, so he has flat chest, though they have nipples, but they are more passive here. So it's not easy for a man to express feelings, to express nourishment. Like it's a mothering center, which woman is much better in than a man. Now let's put them together as they are here on Earth and the nature. What is happening? Look at the alignment between the nature and woman's body. So the yin below of Earth is synchronized with woman's pelvis, her yin level. And her yang level, the upper, is synchronized with the heaven direction. And if we look at the man, the position of his forces in the body are opposite to the nature, which makes us understand now that for women it's easier to live in this universe because they are naturally biologically aligned with the direction forces. And for man it's really a struggle. He is upside down in his energies, which we don't see outside, right? In society, it's like women are suffering. So I want to tell you that actually we live in the female universe, but masculine society. So the universe, the nature, and the society are totally different aspects, where universe and nature are yin, and society has all the masculine qualities. For this reason, there are more women in every yoga class. For this reason, women are more prone to connect with nature and flowers and all this stuff. For this reason, women are more sensitive. Where a man, he feels that he is weak in this field, so the best field for him is to fulfill through career and money and etc. Let's look at the aspirations of humans, or what is driving men and women, what kind of obstacles they have and how they overcome. So the lower part of our body, first three chakras, where we have genitals, where we are digesting food, this is an animal desires level. So it's our instinct here to procreate, to survive, and to establish our territory. So this is very animal instincts. Where when we are able to grow above the animal desires, we are arriving to spiritual desires, where you have unconditional love and desire to share and all kind of beautiful feelings and heart center, of course. So because woman on her animal desires level is yin, which means she is passive, for her it's very easy to overcome the animal desires. For example, I know many women, including myself, who can live without having sex for a very long time, like maybe one intercourse in a year. And women have more common sense and control when it comes to sex or going into very weird situations. Where man is driven by his genitals, they have to put so much effort and control to overcome their sexual desires. And in such practice of martial arts like Qigong, Neigong, Tai Chi, and others, it is very common that for woman, due to her connection to the nature, which is naturally flowing through her body, she overcomes this first level of animal instinct, the basic desires, and arrives to the heart center much faster than man. But it's interesting contradiction that in such martial arts there are more men, and for this reason there is a mistaken belief that this practice is for men. The best balance for a woman would be not to force herself in any kind of discipline, but to create this balance, a bridge where she understands her inner flow, she understands the movement of the energy, her inner rhythms and cycles, and she has some kind of practice that she adapts to the inner. This way it means that your practice will be different from mine, and I should not press any kind of frame to you. When you take the ABC, the alphabet of any movement, training, knowledge, you will naturally arrive. It just takes time because a woman as earth, you remember, she is spiraling and she is gathering these forces into her body. The main thing here to understand is that woman is extremely sensitive. No matter how many times somebody told you this in order to minimize you, this time you have to honor and own this idea that yes, you are very sensitive. You can sense because you are actually a biological sensor. You are attracting things from outside and gathering the information, and then it all enters towards you sitting there in the center of the universe. And everything that is happening in the universe has a direct impact on you. So the question is, how do you filter your webs, your energy webs? How do you protect yourself? How do you understand where you need to stop and pause or turn around and leave? And this is, I believe, that is really needed for every single woman, whether she is stepping into business or spiritual, or even better, if she wants to join these two paths and benefit from both. Dear woman, this is the end of the class. And I really hope that this living knowledge will enter into your every cell and start creating frequency of change within yourself, the way you think of yourself, the way you believe in things in life, the way you look at your relations, the way you look at your performance. And maybe, I hope so, and I really wish, you will start consciously choosing where you want to be and what do you want to do there. Thank you so much for listening and learning with me. I'm sending you a big heart hug and see you next time.